So if I have anything to say about these last fights, I'm just going to say it. So the last 3 fights are going to be scheduled differently. Now, let's just talk about the WBA Intercontinental Vacant Lightweight title. Mark Chamberlain and Gavin Gwynn. Only have 30 seconds to say about this match, so here's the 30 seconds I'm going to say about this match, and then we'll get to the next one. Ready, set, go. To be honest, Mark just dominated the first round. He went to second round, dominated the third round. They were easy rounds, and then he finishes them off before the end of round 4. Fight's over, TKO, end of story. Mark was an IBF European champion, and now he's a WBA Intercontinental. I think we should give him a couple more fights in 2024, and maybe he gets a couple more other fights in 2025 until 2026, and when he's 19-0 or 20-0, we'll see if he'll deserve a title shot. That's it. All right, next fight. Now, Justis Huni versus Kevin Lerena, WBO Global Heavyweight Vacant title. This is the fight I wanted to talk about the most because this fight had more excitement. It was a closer fight than other fights out there. There were no knockouts. It was a huge fight. There might be times when I did say, and guys, I will say though, I'm not going to talk about cheating or anything in there, or even I am going to talk about controversies, but not when it comes to punches or scores or low blows or clinches, because that's not what I'm here to talk about in this video. Just what the fight went. To be honest, let me break it down for Justis Huni. Justis Huni debuted in October 2020. He defeats Fega Opelu in his debut for the Australian heavyweight title. When Quarterman threw the towel in round 7, Justis won. A month and a half later, he takes on Arseni Falso. That was 3-0 at the time. Finishes him in round 4. In April of 2021, he takes on a 2-0 fighter like himself, Jack Mares, in a non-title fight. Knocks him out in the first round. A month later, he takes on a nobody. That was 5-3-2, and he goes 10 rounds the distance. Not bad. He almost goes 10 rounds the distance a month later against Paul Gowan, but knocks him out in the final round by TKO, his final knockout. And it's almost now been 3 years since his last knockout, because it would take him 364 days later until he goes back to the ring to fight for both 3 vacant heavyweight titles. All of them were vacant. IBF Pan Pacific Heavyweight, Oriental and Pacific Boxing Federation, and the WBO Oriental Heavyweight title, all vacant against Joseph Goodall. And Goodall was 8-0-1, undefeated, and he went for it. And then 5 months later, in November of 2022, he takes on Kiki To, still a fun name to talk about, and goes 10 rounds. That's it. Eddie Hearn finds him, and he gives him a full 11-month hiatus until he boxes out of his country of Australia. At this moment, Justis won 7 fights, and he was already the #1 Australian legend, and he's already becoming a huge contender. It's like Eddie Hearn just grabbed him. He was still a young kid. He was 23 years old at the time, so it made sense, and now he's 24. He takes on Andrew Tabiti, which seemed like it was too much of a quick thing, because it seemed like it was too quick for his time. But no, Justis went for it. He defeated him, and that was it. Kevin Lerena, on the other hand, had a tough career. Now, in 2014, his first loss was against Johnny Muller. Unanimous decision. But a year and a half later, he wins in a rematch against him in April of 2016. Months later, he would fight for a semi-Super 4 tournament title fight of a tournament, and he would win the tournament in October against a 22-0 fighter. So it seemed like he had it going, and he did. A year later, 2017, he would win the IBO World Cruiserweight, which some people still might say it might be a major. I hope it won't be, because we don't want to see a 5 alphabetical title organization, because it's lame. He would defend the belt a dozen times until before COVID came. He would take on Fire Arslan and beat him up, and he would retire from cruiserweight, and he would go to the heavyweight in December of 2020, win against a nobody, takes on Bogdan Dino, Marius Wash in 2022, and before you know it, he fights for the WBA heavyweight champion, knocks Daniel Dubois out 3 times, but the fight didn't end because the WBA rules that there was 3 knockdown rules. Howard Foster, the referee, didn't give him it. And a couple rounds later, Daniel Dubois, that had a horrible leg injury from that moment, finishes in round 3 and wins it. It was a good story, but it was upset because Kevin won the fight. In 2023, Kevin knew he was a top contender. He defeated Raya Murray and Sanad Gashi just to take on Justis Huni. Now, I'll be honest, though, it gets worse. This is the part that gets really more dumber. The fight starts out, and Justis Huni, Kevin start out strong. Kevin wins the first 2 rounds with ease. He gets the first round, was even. He wins the second round easily. And out of nowhere, it seemed like Justis Huni was going to come forward. Justis had problems in this fight. It wasn't harder than how he fought against Andrew Tabiti because it was an easy fight. But this one wasn't. It was close. Too close. He wins round 3. He wins round 4. And the way he won those rounds were pretty slick. He did found his mark in that fight pretty evenly. But then in round 5, Kevin Lerena wins round 5. Round 6, Justis Huni dominates him again. Round 7, Kevin kind of squeaked out. Round 7, Justis Huni wins round 8. He wins round 9, but then Kevin wins round 10. At this moment, the fight was even, 95-95. This had to be one of the greatest tough fights that no knockouts were applied, and it was a close fight. It was a really close fight, and Kevin proved himself that he was a tough contender, and Justis Huni proved that he was a tough contender, but he still needs more practice because I don't think he deserves to be in a fight. But still, this fight was even. This fight came down to the wire for each guy trying to take the lead. The other takes the lead, the other ties it, other ties, lead, and then the other ties in the final round, and that was it. It was pretty evenly close. I think what makes this tough enough is that 2 judges, Michael Alexander and Kieran McCann, had it 96-94 for Huni. But then, as we know, Howard Foster, the guy that screwed Kevin Lerena up from the WBA World Heavyweight title, the referee, Howard Foster, that screwed him in the Daniel Dubois fight, is judging this fight. And he scores this fight 98-92 in favor of Huni. At this moment, I look at myself and I think, dude, does this guy hate African people? Is this favoritism? I was just a little bit shocked because, even though I do believe Huni did better, because there were some rounds that Kevin Lerena had fought hard, because when I look at the fight, it was obvious. Because Justis Huni won 5 dominating rounds. And there were a couple other rounds in the fight that would have made him won, probably a 96 or a 97 fight. But at the same time, there were times that Kevin did prove himself, but Justis did better than he did until the final round. But still, seeing this judge, the guy that ruined Kevin Lerena's heavyweight championship, just to give Justis Huni favoritism of a 98-92 is still hard fought for me, and it's still hard for me to talk about today.